I don't know where to start. Memories flashed without order or sense until they were digested over the years, regaining their form. These memories are no longer alive. They were left to rot and decay. They have passed into another life. They are dry memories that I am trying to bring back by watering them, regaining their moisture, and letting them flow through me once again. India was never an easy country, and I certainly made it not an easy country for myself. There were so many lessons now I can't recall. I wouldn't call them lessons. I would just call them scenes, vignettes, little miniatures of life. The sound of wind in that city has stayed with me longer than I would have expected. After walking through the labyrinths of streets, dusting my shoes, and climbing buildings, I found myself sitting on a rooftop when some kids passed by me. The kids ran with a plastic bag. They unrolled it and climbed over the ledge of the building with complete disregard of their safety. They untucked spools of thread from their bellies, tied them to the plastic bag, and sent the plastic away. And it flew. It just flew. I started taking photos of them, fighting the windy city. They were not alone. Countless more plastic kites flew in the sky as more and more kids came to the rooftops. They kept flying them until dusk arrived, and it became too dark to even see the sky above them. Walking down a path from a Hindu temple, I saw an unnatural motion in a tree. It shivered, yet seemed unaffected by the blowing winds. The tree was way too far in the distance for me to see, now that I had lost my glasses. This tree did not resemble the ones nearby, and had a crest at the top. I decided to climb a nearby mountain, and as I ascended, the tree took various forms in my head. Suddenly, a peacock flew by and broke the tension in the air. It flew past me and into the other mountain, sat down on a rock staring at the hills, lost in contemplation. He turned around, heading to the tree, and as I followed his movements, I saw what I had mistaken for leaves were actually feathers, and the whole tree was made of peacocks that perched and glanced at the distance. The crested one flew on top of the tree and sat down on it. It was a peacock tree. My feet were tired and numb. I had to climb so much grass. Rock is hard to climb, but grass is slippery, and the fear of animals is always there, so you climb with tension and heartache. I couldn't stop looking at my feet throughout the ascent, until I finally came to realize the land lay flat at my feet. So I looked up, and what I saw was a village. A little village that was sunken in water. The rains fell down the mountain, and this was a little flat land where they stayed. The scent of moisture was always there, in every house, and with the smell of rain, we went to sleep. A dream came to me here. A yellow flower curved itself into the river and bit something in the water. It stretched back, and in its mouth, a white eel was suffocating. I woke up, still hearing rain, but the land around me was dry. I kept listening until I realized where all that water had gone. We were surrounded by waterfalls. I was traveling between villages when I saw some cows gathered together on a farm. They were going crazy against the fence. Finally, a farmer opened the gate. They went down a road where cars stopped to let them through. They kept going and slowly took a right into the woods. They formed a path like ants, guiding themselves through a scent I could not smell. Uphill, downhill. I kept walking and found some cows trapped in the sand. Past the trapped cows. Past the trees. I looked back and couldn't find myself. I could not remember the path, and the line of cows ceased. They were not like ants that would come later or would guide themselves back when they have had food. This was just an ephemeral line. They had warned me, back in the house, that there were venomous insects and snakes in these woods. So when I looked back, I saw the last cow walking towards me. I panicked. I was left in these woods, with these creatures as my only comfort. I had nothing to do but to take pictures of them. I saw miniatures, and I saw the drawings that were in museums. I saw the passages of Kipling, and I saw the veneration for cows. They did nothing but be, yet they changed and morphed. Some of them would step into the light and became divine. Others looked fearless and became part of the shadow. I was surrounded by narratives, old narratives I had seen, and I saw these cows were animals to be lost with. There are always boatmen in villages that are far away, but this boatman had a quite beautiful story. For his boat ran in a little lake, no wider than a couple of kilometers. Standing in one edge, you could see the end of it easily, except by a blockade in the middle of the lake that led to some ruins, some flooded ruins. I liked this sight. It was fascinating to see sunken rocks, sunken ornamented rocks that just peek through the surface. And this boatman wouldn't stop staring at me. He would just stay in his boat, lean on his paddle, and stare directly into my eyes, into my camera. He had noticed the shimmering of it. The boat was heavy and had the scratches of wave and sand in it. He offered me a ride for a modest price. I declined. I was fine right where I stood. There was nothing else to see. He went away and returned a couple of hours later. Now he approached to me with more humility, or I would say with more ease. He just offered me to get into the boat. I told him I had no money, which was true. I had spent it all on water. He told me it didn't matter. He just wanted to have a talk. As he paddled, I saw something in the water, something you cannot perceive until you run it by frames. That great, dusty lake, filled with sand above and below. And yet his lips remained moistened. It made the event fluid. His eyes that would often fall off orbit and look astray. He told me something that changed me. He told me something about humility, or something about those being equals and nothing ever changing in this world. He told me something about the lake, or something about the little people. He told me something that was meaningful for me. But sadly, now lies death. Alone. Maybe it was because I did not pay for the ride that he decided to offer counsel, but not the memory to retain it. Maybe I should have had more money. Maybe I should have not wasted my money on water. I feel disembodied. Sewing myself into passages. I once heard the tale of a man that lived through people. A man of time. I call him TILMAN.